Guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives. Time to update the old Megadeth ranking video. At the end of June here, 2023, it's will be 5 years for me on YouTube, making videos, meeting such great people. I just want to give you a big heartfelt thank you to anybody that spends time with this middle-aged metalhead. It is greatly appreciated. Something that I look forward to on a weekly basis. Music is still a huge part of my life. It's a daily part of my life. There's not a day that goes by that I don't listen to, 2 or 3 albums at least, or, a minimum of anyways. So thanks again for spending time with me. Like I said, I really appreciate it. So of the, probably close to 40 ranking videos that I've personally done, they get outdated. So here's one, Megadeth, for example, that I needed to include the newest album. But I'm not one of those guys that can just slap together a ranking video, 3 or 4 days after a new album drops. To me, that doesn't even make any sense. Also in the background, I'm looking at the album, what I'm spinning, Creator. There's another one that needs to be updated. A few of these are, quite a few years old. I mean, Megadeth's last album it came out in 2016. So, I mean, there was, 6 years? So, yeah, definitely time to update the Megadeth one. And I just got to see them a couple of weeks ago. So, fresh in my mind. I don't have any notes or anything. Let's just wing this one. Have a little bit of fun. The only note I do have on here is a little sticker telling me which number it is. I absolutely hate losing track of counting back and so, okay, I'm on number whatever. That's just a pet peeve of mine. So yeah, let's go for it. If you did happen to watch my old ranking video, there's been a couple little subtle changes, nothing major. I've been a fan of this band since 1986 and have not missed an album since. Yeah, even number 16. I'm not going to say Megadeth never made a bad album. That's not true. They've made some not so good albums with a couple of good songs, and that's kind of how we'll start off with. And might as well get rolling. Here is my number 16, their 8th overall studio album from 1999, Risk. What I'll do throughout the video, I'll just name you a couple of my favorite tracks. If you're tuning in for a Megadeth video, there's already been a bazillion lineup changes. Of course, Dave Mustaine, the only mainstay. Maybe we'll talk about a producer. What else? Yeah, some logo changes, whatever. Like I said, let's just wing it. So there's the back cover. This one I would definitely pick up if they decide. Actually, there's 4 from Capitol Records that need a reissue. That I know that there's a lot of Megadeth fans would like it. But this one, big. Even more changes than their previous album. So this is 1999. This is the album that came after Cryptic Writings. This is the last one to feature Marty Friedman on guitars, Jimmy DeGrasso on drums. Even the covers, I don't know, just stripped back. Like a stripped back cover, but their sound, they tried a few things that didn't work. But there is a couple of good tracks on here that I do enjoy, but there's a lot that is not that good. It's just not, I don't know, this just doesn't stick in your mind. But my 2 favorite tracks are Breadline and I'll Be There. I know the I'll Be There they did on the One Night in Buenos Aires. Sorry for screwing up that pronunciation. But they did a live version on that album. It was fantastic. So it definitely is one of my highlights. Then you got some stuff on here like Insomnia. That is actually a very annoying chorus, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Wanderlust is probably one of the softest songs Megadeth has ever done. But yeah, I'll Be There would be my favorite track from this one. So coming in at number 16 is Risk. Coming in at number 15 is their 9th overall studio album from 2001. A World Needs a Hero. So this is a recent reissue with an updated cover, which I absolutely love the updated cover. In the gatefold shows you the picture of the original cover that's on my CD version. Looks like Vic Rattlehead popping out of Dave Mustaine's chest. I'm pretty sure that is supposed to be Dave. Back cover. So personally, this is one of my least favorite. This is my least favorite Megadeth lineup. With El Petrelli on guitar, Jimmy DeGrasso, and then you have Dave and David. This album to me just has one gear. Besides Motorcycle, which is, you know, what I'm trying to say is 2001, I liked this album more than I do now. So this one hasn't aged as well for me. So Motorcycle, you know, a little corny on the lyrics, stuff like that, but I do really actually like that song. Dread and the Fugitive Mind would be another highlight for me. They actually just played that live when I just saw them a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, there is my number 15, World Needs a Hero. And then you know that basically Megadeth ended for a while after this album until the comeback album, which we'll see in a little while. What do we got next? We have their 14th studio album coming in at number 14. And that's Super Collider. Not a fan of this cover. I do like the logo. And this is what? David Ellefson's second album back. So yeah, 2013. He rejoined in 2010 actually. So I'll try to tie in the 5 times that I saw Megadeth live into this video. Fortunate enough to see them 5 times. This one, not a one I go back to that often. It is not great overall, to be honest with you, but there are a couple songs that I really like. One of my favorite tracks on here is a very catchy song called Forget to Remember. And when you have a cover track on here, which is Cold Sweat, that I'm not going to say carries the album, but it does improve the overall album. You know, when you have to rely on a cover song. But what else? Dance in the Rain, absolutely terrible. Probably the poorest song on this album. What else? Check the title track, Super Collider. I don't mind that one a bit. A little more on the commercial side, but good catchy track. And this one is who else did we have on here? We had Chris Broderick and probably still Sean Drover on drums. So yeah, there is number 14, Super Collider. Coming in at number 13 and titled 13 from 2011, the return of David Ellefson on a studio album. This is 13. Love the artwork on this one. There's the band shot. So we got Broderick on guitar, Sean Drover on drums, and Dave and David. Now, I just saw them prior to this. They made this album after that Gigant tour, which I got to see them. The 2 opening acts were Testament and Exodus. And actually, Alex Skolnick was not there. He was off doing some stuff with probably Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the time. So Sean Drover, ex-Megadeth, filled in on guitar with Testament. So that was pretty cool. And I actually got to meet, or Glenn Drover, I actually got to meet Glenn Drover after the Testament set. So that was pretty cool. And here's the gatefold for this one. All right, here's an album. It's got a few great tracks. It's not, again, not one I go back to that often. But Public Enemy number 1, I actually really enjoy that song. Favorite track on this album is Black Swan, not Fast Lane. Even though Fast Lane's not bad at all either. Millennium of the Blind, which is an older song that was not reworked, but an older song that was never used on an album, put on this one. And then this one ends with the song 13, kind of a retrospective look back at my life, my career type in Dave Mustaine's eyes. But there is my number 13. Coming in at number 12, an album that I do like. So, you know what? Like, I don't know if I mentioned it, I do like most of these albums. Just, this is probably, from here on up, are albums that I really enjoy and do listen to, probably at least once a year at this point. I mean, the music you acquire over the years, it's hard to fit everything in, or you just go through those little phases and, oh, I'm going to go on my Megadeth kick now and listen to everything. I'm sure you guys are in the same boat. But here is my number 12, 7th overall studio album, Here's my original CD. This one, I would pick this one up in a heartbeat if they reissued it on vinyl. I know there is a black cover version, but I like the original. I like the gray. And this was, you know, yeah, some big changes on here. What was this? This was the last one to feature Nick Menza and Marty Friedman. My favorite lineup for Megadeth for sure would be Dave, David, Marty, and Nick. But this one, yeah, big changes on this one. This is even more of a departure from Euthanasia from 1994. But I enjoy this album. This has got a good mix to me. Some like tracks like Trust, which they did play live when I just saw them. Almost Honest, Use the Man. You got a couple fast ones, The Disintegrators. FFF, Fight for Freedom, She-Wolf, Secret Place, really cool track. I don't mind that one a bit. Some really good guitar work from Marty and David on this one. So there it is, my number 12, Cryptic Writings from 1997. Coming in at number 11 is their 15th overall studio album from 2016. Dystopia, Chris Adler on drums, first one to feature Kiko on guitars. Good solid album throughout. There's no real weak tracks on here. It is kind of one of these kind of at the same pace albums. If you know the album, you probably know what I mean. But every track is actually really solid. There is there's a cover on here too. Which one is it? We'll get back to it. Anyways, they did play one track live off of this album, Conquer or Die. Really great track. A couple of my favorites on here, Bullet to the Brain, The Threat is Real, Fatal Illusion, and Post-American World. Good. That's a little catchy on the lyrics. I really enjoy that one too. Love the artwork. The logo looks fantastic on here. I love when they incorporate those lightish blues mixed with silver. And I think the Vic looks really cool, futuristic, in a dystopian world. There's the back cover. So that's my number 11, 15th overall studio album. What do we got next? We got, here's number 10, 11th overall studio album. And kind of Megadeth's return to having a full band. And you know the album, 2007's United Abominations. So at this point we got... actually, Glenn Drover on guitars, Sean Drover on drums, and the first album to feature James Lomenzo on bass, and David. There's the back cover. So this cover, from what I remember, was some sort of contest winning. Probably one of my least favorite Megadeth album covers, to be honest. And I mean, my least favorite Vic Rattlehead. This one, the back is, yeah, not the greatest, but as far as tracks go, a couple of highlights for me too. And this one was mixed by Andy Sneap, and you definitely can tell more of a metal sound for sure on this one. First single I heard came out on this one, I think, was Gears of War, which I love that guitar work on that one. I actually got to see Megadeth open for Black Sabbath. Actually, they were Heaven and Hell, 2007. Megadeth opened for them, and the other opening act, the pre-opening act, what he was supposed to be, and what they didn't show up, was Down. At the time, Phil was totally fucked up on drugs, and they just canceled, which I would have loved to see them. Not the biggest Phil fan, but I love Pepper Keenan, so missed out on that, but still got to see Megadeth. Okay, so Gears of War, a couple other favorite tracks on here would be Sleepwalker, Washington is Next, and the title track, United Abominations. So there is my number 10. Coming in at number 9, okay, so this is, I feel really comfortable with where this brand new album is gonna sit at number 9, and that is their 16th overall studio album. And this one could move up over time. Really enjoy this album. Little disappointed in the concert. Not the concert itself, but they only played one track from The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. Like I said, my number 9. They played, they only played We'll Be Back. And there is a lot of other good songs on here. And a couple highlights to me. I know people have ragged on the song Mission to Mars, but it is catchy. Near the end, that heavy breakdown, I absolutely love it. But that's a really catchy tune to me, and I do enjoy it. The title track, really good. Night Stalkers, minus that iced tea. Nothing against the guy, but still to me it doesn't belong. But I guess in the context of the song, it fits. But Night Stalkers is a great song. Junkie, no, not a good song. Do not enjoy that one. And Soldier On, not bad at all. And Celebutante. But there's my number 9, the brand new album from, well, newest album from 2022, Megadeth. And this was my album of the year from 2022, which I do a list on every year, you know, top 15, top 20. Love the logo. The artwork at first, there was something about it that bothered me a little bit, but it's growing on me and I do enjoy it. I love that the browns and that Western feel. But yeah, there it is, number 9. Excuse me, grab a quick drink. Coming in at number 8, their 12th overall studio album from 2009. Endgame. I like this cover. Their logo looks awesome on here. Kind of got, you know, a mass of people going through, I don't know, rounding them up, put their chip in their brain, whatever. But this one's the first to feature Chris Broderick on guitars. Yeah, yes, yes, it is. Yeah, Glenn left after United Abomination. So, and Chris Broderick is a real shredder. I love the back cover here too. I forget what's in the gatefold. Oh yeah, there's the band shot. So James Lomenzo's still in the band at the time. But this is filled with great guitar work, great solos. Dialectic Chaos is just an instrumental that starts off this album at 150 miles an hour. This Day We Fight, great track. 1320, Bite the Hand. Yeah, it's just very, very solid album. The Right to Go Insane, another good track. I'm trying to think if they played anything off this album. Nope. You know, huge catalog, hard to put together a set list, but that set list was quite unique from when I just saw them. But yeah, here it is, my number 8 from 2009, Endgame. Coming in at number 7, and the comeback album after, you know, 3-year hiatus with Dave and his hand problems. But I've seen this one ranked a bit lower, but for me, I have a real soft spot for this album. I got to see them in 2004. And at the time, the band consisted of Sean Drover, Glenn Drover, and James McDonough on bass, and Dave. Fantastic show. Probably one of my favorite concerts. Top 5 for sure. It was at a very small venue and very intimate and just fun. Just a lot of fun. Exodus opened at the time. But I really enjoy this album. From the Blackmail the Universe is one of my favorite Megadeth songs. Just heavy and awesome. Kick the Chair, Die Dead Enough, Something That I'm Not. Back in the day, they actually brought up every member of Exodus, and they all sang the chorus to it during that show in 2004. It was a great show. And I love, you know, that Vic is, you know, kind of closer to the Peace Sells Vic on this cover. So yeah, there it is in my number 7, 10th overall studio album. Is that right? Yes. Yep. Number 7, The System Has Failed. Coming in at number 6 is Euthanasia from 1994. And I love this cover, and I do love this album. Yeah, I know, but for 1994, I still think Megadeth was, you know, for the time they were in, this album fit perfect. It still had enough for the, you know, me as a fan of the band for a while, and enough to attract newer people. But yeah, So this, yeah, great lineup. Here is that lineup. You know this CD, they're all rocking out on this CD. And this, actually on the back cover, you know this, Vic, that would have made a super cool front cover too. Love that. But yeah, great tracks. Train of Consequences, Atula Mode, the original version, not the version on United Abominations, is really good. Blood of Heroes, Elysian Fields, another great track. I Thought I Knew It All, Victory, which is kind of one of those reminiscing songs again with the lyrics, and basically tied in a bunch of you know, song titles and stuff on that song. And yeah, this one produced by Max Norman. So you know Max Norman, the old stamp of Max Norman on lots of hard rock and metal in the 80s and 90s. So yeah, there's my number 6, 6th overall studio album, Euthanasia. And that's one of those ones they definitely need to reissue on vinyl. Coming in at number 5 is where it all began for these guys. So I didn't know them when this first came up, but this is Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good. And as corny and as bad as some people say this cover is, I absolutely love it. Their original logo. And I love the rawness of this album. My favorite track on this album, and always has been, is Looking Down the Cross. But these boots, the cover, I mean, if you just threw that one out the window, I wouldn't be sad. But everything else on here is killer. Mechanics, which they actually played live, which is cool. Always love to hear that one. Rattlehead, Chosen Ones, Last Rites, Love to Death. Not a weak track on here, except for, like I said, these boots. I could do without that. So that was from 1985. From 1985, their first overall studio album. Getting off track. All right, what do we got next? Coming in at number 4, their 5th overall studio album from 1992, Countdown to Extinction. I actually have a picture disc version of this, and doesn't sound too bad, but definitely in a need of a vinyl reissue. But here is the cover for that, which I know I've seen a lot of people say it too, and I thought this from the very beginning. This would have made a way better front cover. It's so cool. Vic looks just menacing back there. But great album. I love this one. This is where, yeah, things changed even more, obviously. But favorite tracks on here, I mean, Symphony of Destruction, it just never gets old to me. I know it's you know, kind of that repetitive you know, riff throughout, but I don't know, I've always loved it. Foreclosure of a Dream, Sweating Bullets, This Was My Life, they played that one live just lately. Countdown to Extinction, the title track. Captive Honor, another good one. This one also produced by Max Norman. So there it is, my number 4 from 1992, Countdown to Extinction. Which leaves, what do we got? 3 left, and 3 classics in my books. 3 Thrasher pieces. Never get tired of these albums. I can put them on anytime, any day. All those lyrics come flooding back to me, things like that. But here's my number 3 from 1988. And I guess technically this would be my first new release that I was waiting at the record store the day it came out. This is So Far So Good, So What? Always love this logo, or this gold logo. Always love this cover. You know, I thought they were going to continue these type of titles throughout their whole career. The ... So What? But anyways, you know this album. You got Chuck Bueller on drums, Jeff Young on guitar, Dave and David. You know, people have mentioned the production lacking on this, but I think the production's, it's great. It just gives it, I don't know, just a different feel. Into the Lungs of Hell, absolutely awesome. Set the World on Fire. Anarchy in the UK, I'm not going to say I could do without it, but it's a basic cover. It's okay. Mary Jane, 502, you know, Pull Over Shithead, This Is the Cops. Always love that song. In My Darkest Hour, Liar, we always tried to memorize, well, we did memorize that, you know, that whole liar, start trouble, spread pain, piss and venom in my vein, talk nasty, breathe fire, all of that. You guys, you know what I'm talking about. So, and Hook and Mouth. So yeah, there's my number 3. Like I said, I never get sick of this album. Love it to this day. All right, moving on to my number 2. 1 and 2 flip-flop. I've watched many Megadeth ranking videos, but here is my number 2, Rust in Peace. Absolute Thrasher piece. My number 1 and 2 they might as well be co-number 1s, whatever you want to call it. But you know this album, we don't need to spend much time on here, but let's just name my 2 favorite tracks. Oh, and this one, yeah, produced by Mike Klink. So Mike Klink, Guns N' Roses fame from Appetite. And we got mixed by Max Norman. But Holy Wars, you know, as much as it's played, I still love it. But favorite 2 tracks, Five Magics and Tornado of Souls. The solo on Tornado of Souls is just next level stuff. Absolutely brilliant. And I got a little ticket stub here from 1990. I got to see Megadeth for the first time. Testament opened. They were on the Souls of Black album cycle. $20. Where does it say that? Advance ticket, $20. So the latest show I went to, I could only get a beer and a bag of potato chips for 20 bucks. So put that into perspective. So that's what, 33 years later now, but still happy to have this ticket stub and ticket number 011. So I got ticket number 11 and I got to see Megadeth in 1990. I'll never forget it. I still have vivid memories of being there. So so that's my number 2. Or co-number 1, but here's my number 1. The album that I discovered Megadeth on, I watched the video for Wake Up Dead on Canada's Much Music, and literally there was no turning back. It was something like I've never heard before. It was probably, besides some Metallica, that heavy, you know, not a lot of lyrics in that song either, so it was a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about again, but just killer video. The Conjuring, love that song. The original cassette, I don't think came with the lyrics, so I had a friend that had the vinyl, and do you remember photocopiers? I had a photocopier, so I photocopied the lyrics and started, you know, learning, you know, The Conjuring, you know, between its leaves, place a lash from a black cat's eye, a straw from a broom, fold and burn and centralize. You know, I love that song. I wish they would have played it live, but yeah, all those lyrics are still in my head as soon as I pop this on. Some killer tracks on here. Good Morning Black Friday, Bad Omen, Devil's Island, and my favorite closing track, probably of any album that I own, is My Last Words. The guitar tone on there is absolutely mean, heavy, and I love the way that track ends, where it just goes, die, and fades out, and maybe that's one of your favorite tracks too. But there's my number 1, and there is my recap or my refreshed ranking video of all 16 studio albums from Megadeth, one of my favorite bands of all time. Yeah, I hope they have one more album in them at least, but hope you enjoyed that one, and until next time, stay heavy.